Alright, so you've already seen the photos of the saw set up for this, and I'm going to show you how to make the slot cuts without using a dado blade. So in the actual project, this is the saw blade I used, which is a dado stack to cut a 1/2 inch slot inside the two side pieces. But since not everyone has that, you may have a table saw, you can actually even do this with the same method that I showed, using a circular saw with your hand and a some kind of guide that you put on the clamp to the board, and setting the saw depth. I'm going to show you how to cut this slot just using a small scrap of the same 1/2 inch wood that we use. So here we go. So I already have it set up right now, and we have it set to 1 3/4 inches at the saw blade, and then we have the blade set to a 1/8 inch depth here. So I just used a little piece. It's an 1/8 inch thick piece of just like some hobby wood I use just to show you the set up for that blade. So it's going to get a little loud here. I'm going to go ahead and put on my hearing protection, and then we'll get started. Alright, so you can see we put our first cut in here, starting at the bottom edge to be 1 3/4 inches in, and then now I'm going to set up the blade to do the next cut, which is the top. Now the top measurement is going to be exactly 1/2 inch further than the edge of the bottom cut. So when we mark this here on the wood, just to show you, so we have 1 3/4 inches, you're going to add a 1/2 inch, so that's going to put us, excuse me, at 2 1/4 inches. So this time, rather than measuring to the inside of the blade, we're going to measure to the outside of the blade on this side, and we're going to set our blade to be 2 1/4 inches. Alright, that looks just about right. So we'll go ahead and stop. I'm going to put my hearing protection back on, and we'll make the next cut. Okay. So now you can see we have 2 cuts in the wood, but we have this space in the center that still needs taken out. And it's about the equivalent of 2 saw blades widths. So if you look here, we have the 1 1/4 inches, excuse me, 1 3/4 inches and 2 1/4 inches cut. Now we have our 1/2 inch slot here. So we're at a 1/2 inch slot across, but we need to remove this material right in the center. So if we take a look at our tape measure, now we know we need to set our blade to about 1 7/8 inches next, and we'll take out some more of that material. Alright, we're all set. Go ahead and lock my table saw in place, put back my hearing protection back on. Here we go. Now, if you notice here, we have this little piece that didn't quite cut off, but if you notice, you can kind of just break it out with your finger, and you end up with some of these little splinter pieces that you might have to take out. But in general, we still have a pretty nice slot here. So I have one more to make, so we'll go ahead and adjust that. And again, this one's going to be at 2 inches, because we're moving about 1/8 inch per cut, because my saw blade is about 1/8 inch in width. It's a little bit smaller, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and move this to right about at 2 inches. All set. Lock the table saw in place. Hearing protection again. And here we go. Alright, so now you see we still have a little bit of a piece here that needs to kind of just be broken out, and you can take that out there. It doesn't create the smoothest surface on the bottom all the time, but ultimately it does give us our slot in the piece of wood. So if you notice, we still have our slot here, and when you need to put your other piece into it in my design, you see the slot will fit just like that. And then you can glue, you can glue and staple that together in the project. So that's it. That's how you can cut a slot or like a dado without a dado blade on a table saw. Thanks for watching.